volume of a rectangular prism. Okay, so this one's actually pretty darn easy once you look at it and you see the formula. So it says the volume of a rectangular prism. So find the volume of a rectangular prism. So volume, if you didn't know what volume meant, you could click on here. It'll give you the definition. The volume of a solid, a three-dimensional object, so something that has length, width, height, or depth instead of width, if you want to do it that way, is the amount of space it takes up. And we can look at that as cubic units. So sometimes we can divide up an item into little cubes. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but if we have a very square type figure, we can divide it up easily. And we are dealing with a rectangular prism, so we will have a very boxy figure because boxes are made out of rectangles, right? Rectangular prism just means that it's a three-dimensional object. That's the prism part. Rectangular means that the bottom or the base is rectangular. This looks a little bit more square to me, but hey, it is actually a rectangle because it's 6 by 5. So this side is slightly smaller than this side. So it is a rectangle. It's just not a super obvious rectangle. So now that we've defined a couple of the words here, we're going to look at the formula. So the formula to find the volume of a rectangular prism, so basically a box, if you have a box, you do volume. I do not want that bright green. That is a little too bright for me. Let's go orange. Orange isn't too bad. Volume equals length, and I'm going to do kind of a cursive L, times width times height. I did a little cursive L because it's a lowercase l, and I don't want you to think that it's a 1. Okay, so L times W times H, which just means length times width times height. And in this diagram, they give us, here's length, that's 6. Here's width, that's 5. Here's height, that's 6 again. So we just go 6 times 5 times 6, and we get our answer, which is 180. We do need to make sure, and we'll see on the next page if they put it in there. So if you look at, we have 6 feet times 5 feet times 6 feet. So I'm adding the feet in here to make a point. We have 6 times 5 times 6, which that's how they get the 180. But then we also have feet times feet times feet. So just like if you had x times x times x, you would just write this as x cubed because I have 3 x's, and that's a way to write repeated multiplication. Even though it's not a variable, we treat it the same way. It's kind of the easiest way for me to explain to you why we do this. So we have feet, and it was feet times feet times feet, so cubed. So think of it as you had 3 lengths, so that's why I write that. And that's how we identify that it's a volume. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go to the next page here. I don't really need to erase all this, but I'll go ahead and do it. I should be able to work all these out on one page. Okay, so this first one, so we have a rectangular prism again. And we have 4 inches, 4 inches, and 4 inches. So it's actually more of a square prism, but a square is a rectangle. So we can still call it a rectangular prism. So we have 4 inches times 4 inches times 4 inches. So we have times, times, times. So we have 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 gets me, sorry, I was writing the end answer there. We have 16. And then remember, we have to take 16 and times 4. It doesn't mean 4 times 3. I don't want you to write down 12. 4 times 4 is 16. Then times 4 again is 64. Now we have inches, inches, and inches. So make sure it's inches cubed. And they do put inches cubed on here for you. So they're not asking you to click on inches cubed. Sometimes they do ask you to click on that part. So we click check, and ta-da. All right, next. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a different color here. Let's do red for this next one. All right, so we have 2 yards times 3 yards times 4 yards. Oops, got my Y there. So length times width times height. And on this one, they always give you length, width, and height for this type of topic, or at least this name for the topic. In other ones, it may get a little more complicated where they leave out one and they give you the volume. But for now, they're going to give you length, width, and height. All right, so we're going to multiply 2 times 3 times 4. So 2 times 3 is 6. And 6 times 4 is 24. And then remember, we have yards, yards, yards. So it's yards cubed. So we go 24. They already put yards cubed in there for us, so perfect. And we click check. All right, next. So this is our last one here. I will do this one in blue. So we have 7 centimeters for length, 7 centimeters for width or depth. You can think of that as width or depth. But we keep saying width because that's always how we write the equation. And then height. All right, so 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. Times 7 more, let's see. I do not have that one memorized. So we have 49 times 7, and we get 343. Remember, we have centimeters, centimeters, and centimeters. We have centimeters cubed. All right, so we get 343 and check. We're good to go. Another one down.